O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today. You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins.
Oh, hey, everyone. Day 7, Phil?
7.
Day
Yes.
7.
March 24th.
Really? Oh, my God. Did you do your taxes, Phil?
I did. Yeah, I was on top of that.
Me too, man. I got mine done in January for the first time ever. I don't understand why or how I got so ahead of the game, but I feel good about that right now.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Better than that. So we missed you yesterday. I told the listeners that you were with your family, so we encourage that at this time. So we need a full report of your weekend.
Okay, well, we did a lot of walking, which was good. We got a pretty big neighborhood, so I did a couple laps around there. We drove into Bozeman, kind of walked around the deserted neighborhoods and kind of outside downtown Bozeman. And, we haven't done any like hiking yet because the snow's kind of melting and the trails are muddy, and we don't really have full-blown like hiking gear for our kids. But I'm hoping to get on that soon.
Yeah, no, we went to a popular trail, as you'll hear me tell our guest Casey Butler from Hushin today, one of my favorite people out there. We talked about this a little bit. I mean, we went to a popular trail. These trails aren't 6 feet wide, Phil, and so there's a lot of people outside, which I really love, man. It's awesome, but social distancing isn't a thing. It's funny enough, you go to a trail out in the middle of nowhere and your social distancing is limited because people are walking by you on a little trail.
Yeah.
So I am not, the irony there is not lost on me.
Sure.
Phil.
Yeah. No. It's one of those. It's just it's a bizarre situation because you kind of look when you're outside trying to get that fresh air, and you see other people doing the same thing. Kind of make eye contact from a distance and do like a little nod and a wave, and it's kind of like, look at us, we're doing it. We're not like holing ourselves up, but then it's like you have to pass them on a trail or a sidewalk, and you kind of like you try to make room. It's like, hey, I'd like to say hi to you, but also stay the hell away from me, type of deal.
Yeah. No, I encountered a bunch of older folks that you could tell like they wanted to stop and talk, but they didn't dare hang out too long. They definitely wanted to make sure that they said something, said hi, let you know they're happy and healthy, but then moved on. It's like everybody's trying to comfort each other as quickly as possible. Just a quick smile and a quick wave, and on you go down the trail to like, I'm okay, you're okay, that's cool.
Yeah. It was. I had a bizarre, not really bizarre, but just kind of a funny situation. I did like a trip to Costco a couple days ago. I was like, I gotta do these like weekly weekly roundups of the essentials, and I saw a friend of mine who I had not seen in, I don't know, it's got to be a couple of years. And it's one of those things where it's like, I would love to stand here and catch up, but instead we're just gonna nod at each other from across the aisle and be like, "Oh, hey, it's good to see you. I'm gonna keep walking."
Yeah, bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, no, it's I like don't want to see people I know because then I feel like I want to embrace them or talk to them. Just like I'd much rather just get through this thing. And not have to worry about it. I just forwarded you an email, Phil. Are you able to see this email I just forwarded you?
Let's see. Oh,
Pull it
yes.
up.
Okay, turkey drawings. Oh, yeah.
Now,
there we go.
I forwarded you this one. I'm assuming you have not seen it yet.
No.
We talked about this. I read this email on yesterday's show. Our man, Alec Acock, he made the turkey. He created it. I want you to try to... I did my best yesterday to try to describe it. I read his email, but I'd like you to just look at what's created there. Look at what that is. Look at it, Phil, and try to describe it. This is the first you're seeing it. It's brand new.
Yes, this is this belongs in a museum, as Indiana Jones once said. This looks very impressive. I also love the set decoration. Okay, so we've got we've got a little turkey, and there's a White Claw can in the picture for size reference. So it looks like it's about as high as a White Claw can, as tall as a White Claw can. It's made out of various feathers and beads, and it looks like fly tackle stuff. And there's a roll of toilet paper as well, just to show the times we are in. It looks like there's some decoys in the background. It's hanging out with its kind.
It's yeah. This is so everybody that listened to yesterday's show will know what this thing's made out of. But Alec is a big time fly fisherman turned turkey hunter. It's his first year turkey hunting, and this is what he made. He said his wife yelled at him while he called him a child while he was doing this. So it's these little things, Phil. You weren't around yesterday, but I got a little emotional talking about the connection that we're all making through this silly contest and this podcast. But this is wildness. Alec, I feel like he deserves 2 podcasts worth of mentions because of what he made here. He said he sent me a message today, said he would mail that to us. So I'm going to give him your address so he can mail it.
I would. I mean, I don't want to take it away from him, but at the same time, I would love to put this on my desk.
Yeah, me too, man. If there's a THC museum somewhere, that thing belongs in it. So listen, I say this: we have a week to go in our hand turkey contest. The bar has been set unbelievably high. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, Ben. I love this turkey. I haven't even met him yet, but I want to be friends with him. Not Alec the turkey. But I believe the contest was for a hand tracing, and I would feel bad letting Alec run away with the grand prize.
Always the dissenter
when it's not a drawing. I'm sorry.
I get it, Phil. I get it. There's a lot of good hand turkey drawings coming in. So we're gonna actually talk about this one on social media and try to see how many people will send stuff in. But one hell of a good start. So just looking at it makes me excited for turkey season. I mean, I would pour Alex turkey. I would shoot him in the face, and
sure.
He looks delicious as well as creative. So I just wanted to show you that. I felt that was important for you to know.
Thank you for sending it to me, and thank you to Alec for putting in the time. This looks great.
Yeah, and I decided yesterday that we're going to do the THC Hall of Fame, and we're going to start putting these, whether it's a little shrine in the Meat Eater studio, or if I have to do it by my desk at the Meat Eater offices, I will. I'm going to start collecting all these things that you guys have done over time, poems and drawings of Phil, and turkeys made out of fly tying material. Who knows what other? I'm so addicted to contests now. I would snort contests off a table. At this point, I'm so addicted to this, Phil. Does that sound healthy?
I think once in a while is fine, but you got to know your limits.
Once a week.
One contest a week.
I'm so addicted to contests. So I'm going to make a little Hall of Fame, and hopefully that you listeners out there start to strive and do your best to make it to the Hall of Fame, because I'll make sure a candle is lit in your honor. How do you feel, Phil? About am I going nuts? Am I off my rocker, or is this turning into something real?
It's your show, man.
Thanks for the vote of confidence. Well, today's show, we have. Are you good? Everything good there? Like, we're gonna move on to our guest. I just want to check and make sure you're okay.
Oh yeah, no, I'm doing great. I'm making doing steaks tonight. Maybe some asparagus. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, all right. Asparagus is starting to get in season. It's soon. All right. Well, we're going to get to my good friend Casey Butler from Hushin. We didn't really talk much about hunting, but we talked about life and our approaches to the quarantine, and we talked about how we approach business. And Casey talked about the pillars to which they build their business at Hushin. Content I'm sure a lot of you guys watch and understand and know about. Like I said earlier, Casey is one of my favorite people in the world. So enjoy my friend Casey Butler. Hey, Casey Butler, you son of a bitch. How's it going?
Wow. I've never been introduced quite like that, but I kind of like it.
I came in hot, didn't I? I'm feeling it today, man. I'm feeling it.
Came in firing.
Yesterday's show, I was getting emotional. I was alone. I'd just gone through like some weird weekend events where I was trying to process this quarantine. But today, I'm feeling hot. I'm feeling good. So,
I like when Ben's feeling hot.
Thanks for being with us. As you saw, I'm wearing a robe. Maybe that's part of it. You think that's part of it?
I think that has a big part of it to do with it.
Have you ever do you wear robes?
I have a robe.
You do?
One of my business partners had some robes made for us a few years ago, kind of as a joke. It's black with gold stitching on it.
Oh.
And I was like, man, I'm going to wear this all the time. And I just haven't found a time and place to really wear it, but maybe I should go throw it on.
Have I inspired you in any way to just...
I was very impressed to open this little video conference call up and see you in a robe.
Yeah, no, so what had, just for the backstory, because my wife got me this robe years ago, and she wears a robe and I wear a robe, and we just like rub up against each other like two bears, you know. It just feels...
Sounds nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit sexual, but mostly asexual.
Yeah.
It's just nice. And I was wearing it this morning as I was doing laundry, and then I looked at the clock and it was 11:15. I'm like, shit, man, I'm gonna just keep going.
Just roll with it.
Just doing
maybe I need to experience the robe life more.
Yeah. I feel like if anybody is going to be open to it, it would be you. And
I'm definitely open to it. I just need to implicate it more, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we could start a podcast with just in our robes.
Two dudes in a robe. Well, two dudes in two separate robes. Or, I mean, you can do it either way.
Two dudes, one robe.
2 dudes, 1 robe.
We just pass the robe back and forth during the show.
Did we just create a new business?
Yes, we did. Yeah, with your business acumen and my robe, we could really do it.
Oh, it's, there's a lot of podcasts out there in the world. I have not come across I haven't come across any with 2 guys in a robe.
Can you think of any other like clothing items that make you just completely change how you are and feel and act? Because the robe is one of them. Because you can't just wear a robe and be normal.
Oh, house slippers.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
House slippers, like, I have a pair of house slippers, and every time I put them on, it's just like, okay, today's going to be a great day.
Yeah. It's like,
I guess if you're wearing a robe or house slippers, not much is expected out of you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's I just feel like America, no other country.
Yeah.
Could I be doing what I'm doing right now in a robe?
If you like think back like early 60s, right? Like I always have something about the 60s. It just seemed like an easier time in life, right? Family was important. People were hanging out Saturdays and Sundays, and the dad would walk out front, grab the paper, and what would he be wearing?
His robe, and he would wave, "Hey, Bob, how's it going, Bob," like that, and
robe and house slippers.
Yep, and I have. They're doing construction across the street from my house, building our new neighbors. So maybe when they first come in, and like the first day, I'll just like lay down the gauntlet, and I'll go out there I'll have to buy a newspaper and throw it on my front porch, but
do they make those still?
Yeah, I think they do. Maybe I'll just put a tablet out there every morning and pick that up. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Let's get my tablet. Let's sit it out here every night. It's not good for the tablet.
Oh, man.
Make it a statement.
You know, my very first job I ever had was I was a newspaper delivery boy.
Oh.
And so I got to meet a lot of those guys, you know. They were pretty excited to see on Sunday morning delivering the papers. That's actually the only job I've ever been fired from as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a story about being fired from a job, but it's not podcast appropriate. In many ways. So I have to save that for my book, my autobiography. I write 20 years.
Can't wait to read it.
Yeah, it'll be great. Look forward in 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah. Oh, you got fired why'd you get fired? What happened?
Well, so I was a paper boy from like 5th grade till I want to say 8th grade. Anyway, 7th and 8th grade, I play sports, and so I'd have to take time off. But it was also my job to find somebody to fill in for me. And there was a neighbor kid that lived a couple houses away that he would help me every once in a while. But then during, I think it was football season, he was supposed to do it for 2.5 months. And I don't know if it was lack of communication on my part or he just decided not to do it. But about a week into the whole deal where he was supposed to be taking over, I got a call and it was the lady that was over, in charge of me. She was pretty upset and said that no one had received a paper in a week. And I was like, oh, yeah, Riley's, I shouldn't have said his name.
That was a made up. His name wasn't really
his
Riley.
name. It's not Riley. But I was like, yeah, he's supposed to be doing this. And I went to his house. And so back then they would deliver the papers to your house. I think we had 60 to 80 papers we delivered. And so they'd just bring them in bundles and then leave them on your porch. And then you'd have to wrap them up with a rubber band. And I walked up to his house and there was a week worth of newspapers sitting in his driveway. And so I got canned.
Riley. Well, but that led you to, if it wasn't for that, how I like to make, with my guests, I like to make up the storylines before they say them. But if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't be where you are today.
Oh, that's what changed my life.
Yeah.
That's what turned me onto the right path.
That was your moment. You were probably doing hard drugs at that point.
I was.
Yep. And it was the paper life that was really bringing you down.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of jobs out there that just doesn't lead to great behavior, and that's one of them is being a paper boy. You just run with a rough crowd.
Yeah, you do. I have to say, we did a podcast that will never be heard because Phil deleted it. We did it the other day with Giannis and a bunch of guys in the studio back prior to the quarantine. Mm-hmm. And we just got into a sarcastic line of conversation like we're just having, and it went for 45 minutes. And it was the weirdest line of sarcastic conversation I've ever been a part of. It had some kind of weird beauty because I think we blacked out halfway through. So
yeah, too much sarcasm will do that to you.
That will really do it to you. Well, so you're quarantined. How long have you been quarantined? What's the quarantine life?
I think this is day number 8. So last Monday is when the schools shut down.
Yeah, man.
And so, I think it's day number 7 or 8 for us. But it's weird. It's like you talk about sarcasm. Every day I wake up and I'm like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Is this really going on? Yeah. I think I'm to a point where I don't live in Utah, but we're very close. My business partners, Brian and Eric, both live in Salt Lake. And 3 days ago, they woke up to a 5.7 earthquake. And Brian's telling me all about it. And he's like, man, it's crazy how I'm like, dude, I'm to a point where anything could happen and I'm not going to be that surprised anymore.
Yeah. 2020 is just, it's off the chain. I don't want to say off the chain because that sounds horrible and douchey. It's crazy, man. It really is. Tom Brady's playing for the Buccaneers. Quarantines.
Kobe Bryant dies in a helicopter crash.
Yeah, it's just there's not a whole lot to say other than what the fuck 2020. We don't need any of this out of you. Do better.
No, that's the thing. Is I think everyone was for whatever reason, everyone was good. Good thing 2019's gone. 2020 is going to be it. And now everyone's man, 2019 wasn't a bad year.
Yeah, we need to apologize. Apologies to 2019
Yeah, I think 2020 was like, here, 2019, hold my beer, watch this.
Hold my beer.
Watch what I'm going to do.
But you have 4 kids, right?
Yeah, I've got 4 little ones.
What are their ages, if you don't mind?
So I got my oldest, Braylee. She's my oldest daughter. She's 15. And then I got a son, Gage, who's 11. Another son, Winston, who's 5. And then my little girl, Layla, she's going to be 3 next month.
Wow. So yeah, you got a full house. By the way, Winston, a fantastic name. I bet he would wear a robe.
Oh.
Anytime.
He's a robe material for sure.
I like him. I like him already. I don't even know him. I like him.
Actually, Winston is the dude. He has 2 rules in the summer. Well, 3 rules, but 2 of them kind of go hand in hand. You have to wear a shirt, and you have to wear shoes, and you have to tell me where you're going. Because in the morning, dude will wake up, underwear, shorts, at best, and he'll be down the road playing with friends. So a robe might constrict him a little bit, actually, now I think about it.
Yeah, he might like to rip it off in the morning and then run out the door. You know, that's like his final act before he gets going for the day.
That's very true. He is into superheroes. He could be like Super Robe Boy.
Oh boy!
Just rip the robe off, and then he's ready to fight the bad guys.
Yeah, I know. I was telling you before we hit record. My wife's off at the doctor's with our little guy just to get some vaccines, his normal ones. And my son's downstairs watching a show, and so he may burst in at any moment. And if he does, he's definitely going to be wearing an Iron Man mask or a Hulk mask or Spider-Man or Batman, or it doesn't matter. He's got a whole He's got a whole suitcase full of costumes that he does.
And how old is he?
3.5.
Yeah.
So he's there, man. He's
deep into it.
He's deep. No, it's he knows every planet. He knows every dinosaur. He knows every superhero. And
I like it.
Who their friends are. So
when you say watch a show, what show is he watching right now?
He's watching a movie, and I want to say, if I had to guess, his mom put it on for him. If I had to guess, I would say it's Frozen 2, because he's watched that thing every day for about a week. And I'm not going to lie, I enjoy it. I enjoy that film, and I've watched it with him probably about 5 times, and each time it gets better.
Yeah.
Is that a big thing at the Butler household?
Yeah, for sure. My littlest girl, Layla, she is into Frozen. And so we were actually trying to, because I was talking about this with my wife, I was like, was there like a Disney show that you grew up and you just like, there always seems to be like 1 or 2 that you just watch over and over. And for both of us, it was like Little Mermaid. So we were showing the kids Little Mermaid yesterday, and honestly, to this day, and I don't know why I watched it so much when I was a kid. I had a little sister that liked it, but like I can recite that whole movie word for word.
Yeah, I got that with a lot of things. Aladdin was a big one for me.
Yep,
for sure. A lot of other ones, but yeah, I mean, it's funny now they have Disney Plus. You have access to all these movies. Some of them hold up. Some of them just do not hold up at all.
Yeah,
I think Little Mermaid holds up pretty good.
Yeah, it's a classic for sure. And then we actually went to Disneyland right before all this craziness happened, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and so we went on the Little Mermaid ride.
Oh,
and that kind of brought back a lot of memories,
All right, and that's the Disney segment of the podcast. We're moving on.
Are they a sponsor yet?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we get bought out by ABC or Disney at some point. So,
that's not a bad gig.
Really pitching it hard. I just, until then, I'll just be here in the nursery talking about Disney characters on my hunting podcast. It's gonna be, people love it. I think they love it.
Oh, I think people can associate with it if they have kids, especially right now.
Oh yeah, no. So what's the setup there? Like is it been hard, easy? Do you have, since you already kind of work from home in a way, do you have a rhythm with it? Like, to explain people how, I guess the general, what I've asked everybody on this daily show is like, how do you approach this mentally? And then what's like the daily setup over there?
It's kind of weird because I was kind of that guy, even, after like the first cases of China like took off and it started exploding over there and then started spreading. I remember we were in the airport. It was March 5th, I believe, March 5th. We were headed to Oregon to go do our annual steelhead trip. And this is really when it started to like catch people's eyes. And my little brother, who is our camera guy, was with me at the airport, and it's on every single, TV in the airport. And I was kind of like the naysayer. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just another one of those things to get people talking about this and not paying attention to that. And, this is just a big scam. And he was kind of into it. He's like, man, look at these numbers. And he was kind of trying to show me numbers. Anyway, so we went on the trip and get back. And then that's when things really got serious. And I was still kind of the guy that's like, we live in a pretty small town. There's no, a little side note. I don't know if you were paying attention to this. Like, there was like 3 or 4 states left that hadn't had any known cases of the coronavirus. Do you know which ones those were?
Well, I know Montana was down the list pretty far.
Yeah, it was like Idaho, Montana, I think North Dakota, and then West Virginia. And you guys fell before we did.
Yeah, I remember
Idaho
that day.
was the second to last. I think it went Montana, and then North Dakota, and then Idaho, and then West Virginia. So,
yeah, no,
we live in some pretty great places.
I know. My parents just retired and moved to West Virginia, so I was feeling pretty good. But yeah, I mean, it's funny how that goes when you're living in a place where it's not as prevalent, but still you have to take kind of the same actions as if you have it, and as if you live in a town where a lot of people have it. So it's hard to know, man. Well,
and that's kind of like how my wife's been the stickler about this whole thing. And luckily she has, because, and I agree, like, I've been trying to tell my kids, this has been the hardest part, is trying to explain to them, you have 3 weeks off of school, but that doesn't mean that it's like 3 weeks of, spring break. There's a reason that you're not going to school, because they want to have friends over. They want to go do this. They want to go do that. So that's been like the hardest part for us, is just to be like, listen, I know you just want to play with the neighbor kid, and that's only one kid. But, how many people has he come in contact with over the last week? How many people have you come in contact with over the last week? So we're running a pretty tight ship for now. I think I've been to the grocery store twice in the last 8 days. And that's about as much as I've been exposed to people. I do go on a daily drive. I have to get in my truck every once in a while and just go on a drive. But yeah, it's just basically wake up. So a lot of schools have had online courses and stuff going on, which for whatever reason, the school district here in Pocatello hasn't had those set up yet. So the kids really have no initiative every day. So we're trying to like create some sort of environment where they can like wake up and still have some sort of a schedule. And that schedule usually ends up to them going and jumping on the trampoline in the backyard for the first few hours of the day.
Yep.
And then it's like, well, if we're going to be home, Dad's like, let's clean the garage out. But it's been nice because we got all those little chores done I wanted to get done, and now we're kind of out of chores. So I don't know what's going to proceed from here. Yeah,
I was telling my wife, we have different age kids, obviously, and it's just there's different challenges that come with that. But I just told her, I mean, you got, I still I'm doing this, and I, as I said yesterday, I was reading some emails from listeners and just kind of thinking about this whole thing, and for the first time got emotional about, what it is and what's going through. But I think part of what this show has done for me, maybe others, I don't know, but just through my own experience, is like it gives you a purpose every day. When you wake up, you're working on something, you have a mission, what you got to get accomplished. So I just told my wife, I mean, having a purpose, making sure our kids have a purpose, giving them some structure is really important at this time. And we're not used to doing that because we're not used to this scenario.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think that, I feel terrible for, me and my wife both work from home, and we run our businesses out of our houses. So for us, it's not a big issue that the kids don't have a place to go. But for a lot of people that work jobs that are still going to those jobs, what are they going to do with their kids was what I kept thinking about. Like, if your mom's a nurse and your dad does whatever and has to be at work, but what if you have young kids, like sending them to a babysitter is probably not the best call right now.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, there's a lot of real impossible scenarios that this brings up for people. So I enjoy, like, I know you well, and I know kind of how you handle your life, and all the other people we've had on thus far. It's just a different perspective. But it just seems like people that run in our circles are kind of in the hunting world, for lack of a better description. They're kind of just a little more better prepared. I've talked to some family members and other folks that live in a lot of different places, and it just seems like the folks that we've had on this show are laser focused and prepared and not as hypersensitive to some of the negativity as that may just be coincidence, but that's what I've found.
No, I agree. I think that there's a lot of people out there that are terrified, which, I mean, what I'm trying to tell my kids is like, when I was talking about like trying to explain to them the reason we're not going to school is like, maybe it's not like going to be a big issue here in Pocatello, Idaho, or maybe it's not going to be a big issue in a week from now, but wrong or right, they're telling us to do these things for a reason. And if they're wrong, like it's not going to hurt the situation, right? If we're social distancing ourselves from people, it's not going to hurt the coronavirus situation. And if they are right, then good thing that we stuck to the plan and did it. So it didn't, we calmed that curve down or whatever the phrase they're using. And that's just hard for a kid because, what's funny is like me and my wife were talking about, I think the people that are struggling with this the most, like not really abiding by it, is not like necessarily our generation, like people raising kids, but it's the older generation. They just don't, like the other day we were supposed to go to a little party and we couldn't go, and they're like, well, what's the matter? Your kid's feeling sick? Or are they acting sick? Or you get like, we're like, no, like the way this works is somebody could have the virus for up to 10 to 14 days before they even get the symptoms. And how many people in 10 days will you come in contact with if you're not social distancing yourself? A lot. And so I think it's funny that older generation is like, in my experience anyways, it's been like, yeah, we can hang out, family, friends, whatever. But it's my wife, like I said, she's the stickler of this whole thing. I was trying to go shed hunt the other day with my boys and my neighbor, and she shut us down.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's got to be the maternal role in this one. My wife's the same way. We went out hiking the other day, and there's so many people on the trailhead, which I love to see, man. It made me happy that, there was, older folks, young folks, kids, adults, people working out, people just hiking, people picnicking, whatever. When I got back, my wife's like, well, how wide's the trail? It's not 6 feet wide. I'm like, well, no. She's like,
yeah.
So every time someone walked by you on the trail, which must have been 100 people, they were breaking the social distancing rule. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I just didn't think of it that way. Everybody was happy and prancing around, at least I was prancing on us because of what I like to do on a mountain in Montana. I'm a prancer. You know that. That.
I've experienced your prancing.
Yeah, we've pranced together here and there, and so I mean, I just felt that like it's nice to have the maternal point of view, which is like, let's protect ourselves. And it's hard. This is a lesson in civic responsibility in a lot of ways. How do we think bigger than ourselves, and how do we kind of, make sure we put less emphasis on our own egos and our own wants and needs, and try to just think about others in almost every action we do, if not most of the actions we do on a daily basis. So I don't know, man. It's a tough time. So I'm glad to hear you guys are at least getting through. And I know people that run businesses from their homes are probably just kind of still in that in the groove they normally are in.
Yeah, and luckily for us, that's kind of the groove we're doing. We're both able to complete our job tasks every day and move along with our business. But there's a lot of people out there that don't have that luxury, and who, like, I keep thinking about this, but let me ask you, how would your life? So how long have you guys been in quarantine? About the same time?
Yeah, I mean, last Sunday I went in to record a pod. Yeah, so it would have been, not long, a week, 10 days, like that, about the same time. Yeah.
And so we're sitting here in March, which is, getting into some good spring activities, if it's either bear hunting or shed hunting or turkey hunting or doing some spring fishing. But how would this affect you if this scenario happened at the first of, let's say, September?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to say, like, there's the kind of virtue signaling response, which is like, I'll go out and hunt elk, and that's what it's going to be. But there's a part of me that says that even in this time frame, but especially in September, like, I don't know that it's responsible necessarily, for a lot of reasons, for me to leave my family for long periods of time right now. I just don't know that that's very that's me being accountable to them. I want to go backcountry, like you say September 1st or opening day of elk season. I want to go for 3 days and be gone with no cell service, but that's probably not the most responsible thing to do at this moment, to be gone from them and not give them what they need. And speaking of one, here's one right now. Hey, buddy. How's it going? Good? I'm talking to Casey right now. We're doing a podcast. You want to talk into the microphone and
What's
say,
up,
hey,
buddy?
Casey? You got to talk into the microphone and say, hey, Casey.
Hi.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
He said, what's up? How you doing?
Hi.
You watching a little Frozen?
What were you watching? What show were you watching down there?
Turn up the fire.
Oh, Return of Jafar. That's nice. That's like is it over? Is that why you came up?
Yeah.
Okay, well, go play in your playroom, and I will be
That's
podcasting.
like Aladdin stuff, right?
Yeah, that's Aladdin, right? Did you like it?
That was not one. That was the turn of the fire.
Oh, I see. But
Not the same.
Not the same. Was Aladdin in it? Was he in there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is it better than Aladdin or worse than Aladdin?
Worse than Aladdin.
Worse than Aladdin? You like Aladdin better? I'm with you. You like the classics.
I like the turn of the fire.
All right, buddy. All right, well, go play in your playroom, and Daddy will be out in a while, okay? See you later. No,
Yeah,
you're
you're right. Like, I keep running that scenario through my head. September 1st comes in to play, and this is what we're asked to do. Like, I would be like, all right, kiddos, no school to worry about, no cheerleading practice that you have to miss. We can be gone. But it's such a scary, like I said, every morning I wake up and I'm just like, all right, what's the news today? What's happened or what's going to happen? So to be like gone from your family, the people that look up to you the most, that need you, would it be wise to be gone,
Yeah.
Even though you were social distancing yourself in the mountains is probably not the right example to set for your kids or your wife and not be there for them.
Yeah. So that's how I think about it. I think even now, I'm planning turkey hunts and bear hunts that I normally would. I've already canceled a couple trips I had for turkeys, but those things don't bother me at this point. I mean, I no matter what, luckily I got a freezer full of meat already. It's not like I need that turkey. But I know that I just have to adjust everything. I can't just leave that one part of my life the same. I can't say like, well, I'll adjust everything else in my life, but then just go hunt the way I would normally. So
yeah,
I feel like I've got to adjust that. I've got to do day hunts instead of weekend hunts or week-long hunts, and I've got to restrict like my want to like drive over to South Dakota, the Black Hills, and shoot a turkey, or in this case, like go to the snow crests and try to find an elk or whatever it might be. I just think that that's my personal opinion. I think if people choose to go hunt for their own mental well-being and leave some folks behind, that could be okay too, but I just don't know that I could do it.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there, because they're great and they're super friendly, and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to Land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth.
Yeah. We actually had, I kept like making jokes with everyone, you know, like all the sports got canceled, which I'm a pretty big sports guy. I like to watch sports, but like basketball got canceled. The NFL looks like it's getting pushed back. Hockey was canceled. Baseball, all the sports are canceled. And I kept saying, yeah, one thing they can't cancel is hunting season, you know? Well, we had a hunt in South Dakota lined up on an Indian reservation over there, and they actually canceled the turkey hunt this year.
Yeah.
Which was pretty wild. We were supposed
Was that
to
on the, where were you going, to the Rosebud?
I think so.
It's
with our good buddies from Weatherby.
I'm
Can't remember
I'm sure you're going to the same place that I've gone in the past. That place is great, man. You would have. I'm sorry, I'm saying that to you now. Hey, you know that hunt that got canceled? That's awesome.
You're really gonna miss out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it. I'm a turkey nut, and I'm not very good at it. So, like, they came and introduced themselves. I think it's some guy named something Byers.
Ken Byers.
Ken Byers, you know the guy,
Ken
right?
Byers is a man. I've hunted in Ken's camp in the Rosebud before, years and years ago, probably a decade ago now. But there's so many turkeys there, and they're so stupid.
Oh, yeah, he was showing us videos of, like, oh, dude, we're going to stalk in, like, using these, you know, fans or whatever. We're going to stalk in. You're going to shoot one with your bow at 10 yards. I was all stoked about it, and then comes crashing to a halt.
Yeah, we're working on some stuff for MeatEater.com right now, kind of about what's this doing to the outdoor economy? What's it doing? There's a lot of states, like the state of Maine, I think, you know, is encouraging people to opening their waters and encouraging people to use them. You know, so there's a lot of different reactions, but you know, our society has come to a halt, and hunting and the outdoors is just part of that, right? It has to be. So
yeah,
it's totally understandable. And at some point, you know, but I don't think it restricts. Like for Montana, my license is all messed up. I apparently had 2 different licenses registered, license numbers registered in Montana, save the details, but I couldn't just go online and apply for my tags. The deadline's April 1st, and I can't get a hold of anybody.
Oh, really?
At the FWP to help me out. So yeah, it's like it's a weird, you know, there's not anybody in the actual offices, and you know, some of the customer service lines, I'm sure, are choked with people like me just trying to get some help. So,
yeah, I can imagine.
It affects everything. So it's hard for me to complain about not, you know, missing a hunt or two or not being able to apply for tags. Like perspective being what it is.
Yeah. I've been thinking, I mean, this is obviously, it could end in a week from now, but it's still going to have lasting effects through, obviously, our economy and our society. And, you know, how long is that going to last?
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, for you, your business is I guess we could say social media based. Like that's where everything lives. And at you said like your immediate family's business is kind of social media based. Hey James, no piano, buddy. Yeah, don't play the piano because I'll be able to hear it on my podcast. Okay. Well, not even a not loud piano because I could probably still hear that. So anything that that's not a piano or a harmonica or cymbals.
Electric guitar.
Or electric guitar. He's got one of. Let's play with your cars, bud. That's the quarantine cast. You sons of bitches. That's how it goes. Deal with it.
It's what it is.
I'm parenting while podcasting. It's one of my few skills. But anyway, like your business is run off social media, and social media is seeming to have a boom right now, for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah, like if you look at the history of like when YouTube really took off, it was in that, you know, time frame of the economic, you know, what would you call it, back in 2007, 2008, the little hiccup we had. It was more than a hiccup.
They call it the Great Recession, is what they call it.
The Great Recession of 2007, 2008. And at the time, I wasn't personally doing YouTube. I was working at a steel mill in northern Utah. But actually, my older brother had been dabbling in YouTube a little bit for a year or two. And then when 2007 and 2008 hit, like, it really, I kind of feel the same now as I did then, but back then it was like I was out of work. Like, we went from working 60 hours a week to working maybe 20 at half pay. And so we were quarantined, but not because of some illness, but we were quarantined because I was terrified that, I was going to lose my house and I didn't have money to go, entertain ourselves. So, and a lot of people felt that. And that's really when YouTube like exploded onto the scene. And, obviously because people with the internet could consume entertainment for free. And I remember talking to my brother about that. And he's like, man, we're like, YouTubers are like one of the last people that are not, getting our wages cut. We're actually doing better right now.
Yeah, it's weird. I know, I don't know how much you want to talk about or willing to talk about. I mean, your brother was a famous YouTuber for a long time, right?
Yeah, he was one of the first, I think he was like one of the first people that was able to do it for a full-time living. And this was, like back in 2007, 2008 is when really his channel took off. And he turned 29. So that would have been, it'd been just over 11 years ago. And he decided, he'd been doing it for a few years, and he decided he turned 29. He said, I'm going to do something cool for the last year before I turn 30, And so he did what back then, like a daily vlog. He was like one of the first vloggers that just video logged his daily life with his wife and his kids at the time. And it crushed, and he became super big on YouTube and all social media. And he did really well.
Yeah, that kind of started, I'm sure introduced you to that possibility, like in earnest.
Oh, without a doubt. Like back then, I was working at the steel mill, and I was happy with our life. We were doing well. My wife cut hair for a living, and then he started talking to me about YouTube. And it's funny because growing up, I was never the guy, like never wanted to be in front of the camera. Like, we have videotapes of my brother from like Christmas when we were, he's 2 years older than me. So I was like 8 and he was probably 10. And we had one of those big VHS recorders, and he's filming Christmas morning. And then he turns the camera on himself and he was like videotaping himself and like kind of like, telling everybody what was going on, narrating the day. And you can hear my mom in the background be like, you better not be videotaping yourself, Shay. And so it's kind of a joke. Like, he started vlogging back then in the day. But I was never that guy. I used to be a semi-pro snowboarder, and so my experience of filming was I would go film on that same VHS, go film me and my buddies doing a bunch of tricks, and then we'd have to go home with two different, what are those things called? Tape recorders or VCRs?
Yes. What are those things called?
VCRs. How long has it been since you talked about a VCR? Anyway, so you'd have two VCRs and you'd hit start on one and record on the other, and that's how you'd cut your videos, and then you'd send them off to companies to hopefully sponsor you. But that was like as much videoing of myself as I wanted to do. But at the same time, back then, when my brother started talking to me about this, I had looked into I wanted a hunting TV show. And it was hard to research how you got one, but I finally came to the conclusion I didn't have the money for a TV slot, and I didn't have any sponsors that believed in something I've never done before. But he was like, you could do a hunting show on YouTube. I'm like, yeah, but no hunters are watching YouTube. And if they are, they're not watching for hunting content. They're just watching, funny cat videos. But he instilled it in me early. Like, one day, it can make that transition. Like, people will start obtaining their entertainment through, an online platform like YouTube more so than a TV. And I was like, yeah, but that's going to take years. Anyway, he convinced me I needed to start doing it. And so I started with a family vlog, because my wife really wanted to do YouTube. She wanted to do a hair tutorial channel, a mom's channel kind of thing. And so we started doing it, and I kind of enjoyed it. You get some positive feedback, and you're like, yeah, my brother actually posted my very first video on YouTube on my family account. Like he told me, he gave me his camera. He's like, blog yourself, And so I just vlogged, talking, running my mouth about who knows what. And then he uploaded the video to my channel one night without me knowing. And the next day he called me. He's like, dude, go look at your YouTube channel. So I went there and I had like 1,200 followers or subscribers. And I started reading through I'm like, why did you upload that? Like a little unsure. And then I started reading the comments. I was like, yeah, this guy's right. I am kind of funny. Like, I can make people laugh,
Yeah, this random guy is right. I'm hilarious.
I knew this stuff. This guy, see, babe, I knew I was funny. This guy says it.
Yeah,
he's from Columbus, Ohio. He says I'm funny. Anyway, that's kind of how it all started. And so then we started doing the family channel. And then like that next fall, this was like in July I started. And I think 2008 or 9. And then that fall, we actually had moved to LA. It's funny talking about being bought out by Disney because my brother and some other YouTubers started a production company in LA called Maker Studios back then. And they had pitched the idea to my wife that they wanted to do a mom's channel. So it was going to be like my brother Shay's wife, Colette, my wife, Kaylee, my sister, Carly, and then a couple other ladies were going to have this mom dedicated channel. YouTube, or Google at the time, Google had bought YouTube at that point, had thrown money at these guys and said, hey, start this mom's channel. This is the content we want on YouTube. So they pitched the idea of Kaylee doing this thing. Anyway, long story short, we moved to LA, did family stuff. She did her channel. She did the mom stuff. And then I started Hush. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I started Hush when I lived in Los Angeles. But so we did that for years, and it went well. And then actually their company, Maker Studios, did get bought out by Disney. So it is a possibility. Man.
It could happen. It could happen. All right. Well, I know a lot of Disney execs are listening to this. So
yeah,
I'm
that Iger guy's probably right on here.
There's at least two people in Montana that think I'm funny. So I'm
that's all you need, man.
I'm right where you were back then.
All you need is a little confidence.
Yeah, but it's interesting. You and I have talked before about like there's no retirement plan for what you guys do at Hushin, you, Brian, and Eric. It is really, there will be eventually, because it's not going to go away. It's only going to get bigger. What things like Hushin do online. So, I mean, there certainly is a version of this where you guys are trailblazers.
Well, I appreciate that. I always say, like, I hate the phrase, I hear people say this, not about us necessarily, but just like self-made. And I don't really believe anybody's ever self-made because there's always somebody there that either, helped them along the way or inspired them to try something or open their eyes to a new, way of doing things. And that's for sure what it was for me. Obviously, it was my older brother, and he was inspired by somebody before him. And so trailblazer, that's a big word. I think we were just the first people to start doing it. And then there's a lot of people that do it now and that do it probably better than us. But I always said, like, so once I accepted the fact that it could one day possibly make that transition from, your normal cable network to people watching or obtaining entertainment from online stuff, when I finally bought into that, I just told myself, well, if I start now, before really there's a lot of other people doing this or a lot of people watching this, if I just keep at it and work hard, if that ever does make the switch, we'll be the ones that have like been doing it, and we'll have the bigger library, which always helps in YouTube and stuff like that. And then it finally did start making the switch. And, there's a lot of people out there that made the switch with it that are crushing. Like I always talk about Randy Newberg, right? He was 100% in on TV, and he had a great following. And we met with Randy a few times because I used to always tell people, like, I don't consider anybody trying to do this as a competitor. I think the more people that do this on this platform, the better it is for everybody because it will just bring more of those eyeballs to what everyone's trying to do. And so we would share, there was never any secrets, just things that we did that worked or didn't work. And so we met with Randy a few times. We're like, man, we think you can make the switch. And he had always already been thinking about it. We weren't the ones that convinced him. I guess we just kind of showed him that we could do it. And then he made the switch, and he's crushing now. And same with Steve and Meteor and all you guys, right?
Yeah. I mean, it goes to show you, like, when same as you. When I was coming up, it was hunting TV. That was kind of hunting TV and hunting magazines. So there was a box around, kind of the outlets that were there for you, the creativity that you could pursue within the hunting space. I mean, there was just kind of a limited version of what it meant to be impactful or influential, which is a tainted word at this point. But there was, you were looking at like, are you Jim Shockey? Are you Tom Miranda? Are you one of the many famous outdoor writers that have come along? And there was a different way to get there, and it was almost always you had to be the best hunter. You had to have been around for a long time. There was a lot of aspects that kind of got you to that. If we're talking, mid '90s, late 90s, and then it's the Wild Wild West now. Anybody can turn it on and get it. I guess I don't want to say famous, but have people following what they do and have an impact on the conversation. I mean, anybody can, and we've seen that time and time over. I mean, the hunting public. You guys were the first. I remember when Brian came up to me at a trade show booth and just like ran me down. Like it's one of the more aggressive pitches I ever received, and one of the best at the same time. What's up, bud? Thanks. Are you playing Spider-Man Legos? Okay. All right. I'll see you in a little bit. Thanks. Spider-Man Legos.
Brian is there's a reason that we brought Brian on years ago, and it's because he's really good at what he does.
Yeah, and I just remember hearing it. Like you want to be. I was in the business of marketing at the time, and even in marketing, you want to be forward thinking. You want to be able to see something before anyone else does. That's kind of part of the skill set, and you got to find somebody like Brian that can make you see that, even if you're inclined maybe not to.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that happens. But yeah, I mean, anybody can, you've seen this, anybody can step out and have, I remember when the Born and Raised Outdoors guys were first kind of kicking that off and doing what they did. And you think, well, this is totally different to do it. How many days in a row do they do?
The first year was like 50, 55 or something like that.
And I've seen veteran hunting industry folks in the media space, especially, look at that and just scratch their heads. Like, who would watch that? Why would anyone watch that? Yeah. And I laugh at them. I'm like, well, I don't know, but you should ask all the people watching it. maybe you'll find something out you don't already know.
Yeah, go ask the 75,000 people that watched those 55 days straight, who watches 55 days straight of anything.
Right, and there's some bravery in just doing something no one else has done and seeing if it works. I mean, that could have totally flopped for many reasons, but it didn't, and it took some guts to do.
Well, that's what's crazy about all this is I was always that guy, like, growing up, like, why do celebrities and, like, sports stars always have a bigger voice than everybody else, right? Like, why do their opinions matter so much? And I have always said, like, man, it'd be cool if everyone had a voice. And I think that's kind of what social media has done. Like, anybody can go out and make meaningful, purposeful content now that people will like. And I think that's hard for old industry people. And I listened to part of this podcast a few weeks ago or months ago. I'm not going to say which one, but it's a guy that's historically, like, always, talking about Insta famous and all this, trying to tear it down or whatever he might be doing. But he was like, well, like, why do these YouTubers think that, they've done anything in this industry? Like, if you had a TV show, it means, like, you worked your way up to get to a point where you could, sell this ad space to sponsors, and then you'd, and then have a TV show because of it. And it's like, what do these YouTubers, what grind have they put in? Well, I get that to a point, but I also get that, YouTube's a full-time job. I've put more work into this than I have any other job in my whole entire life. Obviously, You have to. But also, it's like, well, you guys are sitting saying, like, all these TV guys have, like, finally made it to this point, but, like, none of them, like, were forward thinking enough to be like, okay, what's the next thing, Yeah.
Well,
then
you always. We're gonna have to be virtual reality soon. You're gonna have virtual reality hunts with Casey and Eric and
right.
Brian. If we're being forward thinking,
talk about this all the time. Like, what's the next thing? Like, we do like a. Years ago we started this, like, we called it a semi-live hunt, which you've done one with us in Colorado. But it was like, basically the idea was, let's make it feel like people are there with us. So like, let's upload this content as quickly as possible. And so we would go and film like the first day. We'd always do it on our Colorado like mule deer hunt. So we'd go and film one day, get back to wherever we were staying that night, edit the footage, upload the footage for the next day. So like people were a day behind, but they still felt like they were there with us. And so like we've kind of like developed that into how we run our seasons now. Like 2 years ago, we did kind of the same thing the Born and Raised crew did with Land of the Free, where they filmed 5 different states in 50 days hunting elk. But we just made it for the whole season. So last year, 2018, I think we had like 88 videos that ran consecutively once we started uploading them. And then last year we kind of did the same thing, was 85 videos. But like, what's the next thing? Like, we've done that for 2 years. Like, what's the next thing? And I think we've always said this, and it's no secret. I think a lot of people have tried it or want to try it, but like a completely live hunt where, you know, there's technology to do that now with certain cameras. If you have, you know, the Wi-Fi or whatever, if you're in service, but you could go out and film a hunt live.
Yeah, that's going to get there. I remember my first job in the industry. I was working at the NRA for American Hunter magazine. I was like their first digital hire as a digital editor. And back then, I mean, this is 2009, I want to say, 10 maybe, something like that. I was doing like live hunt blogs and thinking about, hey, you know, nobody ever read any of them. You could probably Google it and find these things if you want to read them now. But I was thinking about that then, you know. I think that's just a natural inclination of that kind of experience that I want as a consumer of digital media. And I think it's, you know, hilariously connected to what's going on right now. I think if people could follow you or anyone entertaining, go hunt right now for 5 days and be able to sit home while quarantined and watch that and know that it's happening in the moment and that it's relevant to the time, I think that would be huge, you know? And so I think that all connects.
It would do so well right now, but
wish we could. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
wish we could.
We're just podcasting in our robes instead.
Yeah, we're just here in our robes, podcasting,
talking about it,
talking about doing it. But that's part of hopefully what we can all learn from this time. It's kind of what is it that we value outside of our normal daily lives, and what really can drive us that happens in our small spaces. Relatively small spaces in our homes and with our families. And so I was telling my wife the other day, I was like, hey, listen, you know, there's a lot of unknown about this. And I think this goes to like your business life and mine too. Like there's a lot of unknown, and you can either fill that unknown with positivity or negativity, because no matter either way, you can convince yourself of one of those two outcomes. Regardless of what it is, especially with the coronavirus. You can look at some of the data and say, like, we're all going to, 80% of the country's going to get it. We're all, this is going to be a disaster for this country and bring it to a grinding halt. Or, hey, we got to slow the curve, and if we do all we can now, we can slow it, and we'll be out of this by June.
Yeah.
You can look at it either way, and you can only do that because there's so much confusion and lack of just factual information that streams. And I think that, you could take that to the rest of your life, in your business life. You gotta look at it that way too.
No, I agree 100%. And like you said, man, there's just so much out there that's like, and it's been this way for so long with social media, is like I said before, everyone has a voice, so everyone can put their opinions online. And you just have to be careful what you read, because some of it's just completely nonsense, and there might be some factual stuff in there. You got to dig for it. But yeah, I almost feel like in today's society, that there's a lot of people that I'm not going to say they like the coronavirus, but they like the idea of chaos, right?
Right.
Like, and who knows what's going to happen with this? Like we were talking earlier, we're just playing it by ear and saying they're recommending us do this. If it's right or wrong, it will only be good if we do what they recommend by social distancing and trying to slow that curve down. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that just, they thrive off chaos and BS that they read. And the other day, someone was telling me, they're like, yeah, I have a friend and his daughter is in Ohio or something, and they've shut the city down, which they are going to do that, I think, as of tonight or something. But this was a week ago, and this person was telling me that their daughter told them that they were driving tanks down the road to keep people in their houses. I was like, I don't know if that's true or not, but let's just go to like basics. Why would the Army, it was the Army driving, why would the Army drive tanks down the road? They have trucks, right? That was really going on. Why wouldn't they just drive a rubber wheel truck down the road and not a steel tracked tank?
Yeah, no, it's a time where, you know, you got to choose there again, like the civic responsibility. How do you communicate with others, and what are you communicating? It just goes back to, you know, there's a famous line, like, democracy is not simply a license to indulge individual whims and proclivities. Like, you know, it's at this point you have to hold yourself accountable and for everything you say and do. You know, who knows where that tank rumor started, but your kid got it. You know, It started somewhere, and it was because somebody was being irresponsible with what they said.
Yeah, for sure.
So, it's hard, you know. I'm not one to tell people what to say or what to not to say. Do whatever you want, but you got to be responsible for thinking forward to what this might mean, and especially in a time like this. And part of me says, like, let's not talk about it. Let's just tell hunting stories, and we'll do that. We've done that a lot. We'll continue to do that, and you and I have some good ones. But you got to kind of talk it out and talk it through, and see how you can get through. And you know, one thing that I want to talk to you about. I've been following. I knew all about David Goggins. You know about David Goggins?
Oh yeah.
I think everybody at this point knows David Goggins. But like, I knew about him, but I never followed him and I started following him recently because I want to take up a fitness challenge during this quarantine. And so I thought, well, who better to start with than David Goggins? Then I realized David Goggins is an animal. Like David Goggins, there's just a thing he posted earlier where he's just lifting a tree around, like carrying a giant tree around for no apparent reason other than to prove that he's strong and everybody else is weak and to motivate you. It's just
that guy's mindset it's unreal. And I don't follow him very closely, but I've seen him on, you know, Cam Haynes has put him on a lot of his stuff, and I've read some stuff about him. But dude, the guy is a complete BA.
Oh my God, yeah. I just pulled up a thing where he said, motivation is crap. Motivation comes and goes. When you're driven, whatever's in front of you will get destroyed.
What a mindset.
Yeah. So that's where I started my fitness journey. But I mean, you've done stuff like the Mountain Ops, 90-day challenge and things. I mean, you recently lost a bunch of weight and got in better shape. Like, can you give people a little bit of that story?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually to a point right now. This whole quarantine thing has not been great on my diet, but it was 2 years ago, about the exact same time we got home from our Steelhead trip in March of 2018, and I called Eric. If you guys don't know Eric Chesser, he's a partner in Hush, and he's very motivating to me because he's always in very good shape. He spends a lot of time at the gym. And the reason he does is because the guy absolutely crushes on the hill. Like, he's out shed hunting right now, and he's probably putting in, 15 to 18 miles a day picking up sheds. But I called Eric up and I said, I just got back from the Steelhead trip, and I was to a point where I was like, okay, I'm not a super happy person right now. What's going on? And I realized it was due to my poor health, my weight. I was probably 50 pounds overweight. And, I hate to say I'm a hunter for a living, but I make my living by spending a lot of times outdoors, hiking and hunting and all that fun stuff. And I looked at myself, I'm like, you're supposed to be like the person that, you're making purposeful content for people inspired to like get themselves out. And you're trying to do that like 50 pounds overweight. It's maybe time to change some things. So I called Eric up. I'm like, hey bro, like, let's do one of these 90-day challenges. Anyway, long story short, he was all in. And so we promoted it through Mountain Ops, who makes great products. So for 90 days, I went on a diet. I started out with a diet. That's how I tell my wife the other day. Anytime I've ever been able to like successfully like get into a program or a routine of living a better lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, it always starts with my diet. And so if I can diet for like 4 or 5 days and start feeling good, and then that's when I really like start in with the exercise. So I started dieting for the first couple of weeks and taking Mountain Ops products and just, living by kind of like Eric had made me up like a meal plan of what I should be eating and how much and when. And so I started doing that and started feeling great, And then I started running on the treadmill and then running outside. And Yeah, 90 days went by and I completely felt like a new person. I felt inspired. I felt like I had energy. I felt creative again, because of all those things I kind of felt like I lost for a little while, just because I was unhappy with, who I allowed myself to become, and also, being overweight. You kind of start to feel those things. And after 90 days, I lost like 47 pounds and felt amazing. I tell people this all the time. And I get, like, there's a lot of people out there that don't like to see dudes at the gym, their shirts off. And I was that guy, like, for a long time. I was like, dude, this is garbage. And I just don't, like, overly watch that content or, enjoy it. But I can appreciate it, because the reason I never liked it, and I feel like this is the same way for maybe some other people, that they don't enjoy that or it makes them mad, is that they're feeling a little insecure themselves. And that was definitely me, right?
Yep.
I was looking at all these people that were living very healthy lifestyles, being happy, promoting, healthier decisions. And it would just make me mad, because I knew I wasn't making those same decisions. So I tell people all the time, like, when you eat healthy and get out and just move your body and breathe, it's a drug. It's addicting. Like, you feel better, and feeling better is, something that everyone wants to feel. And so, like, we went through the 90 days, and, we also had, like, we're promoting this with the people that watched us and our, people that followed us on social media. And what was cool about it, was cool that I did it. I got through 90 days. I felt better. My wife jumped on board. She did the same. She crushed it. But then talking to other people that jumped on board with us and were following us, like, I've heard some life-changing stories from people that jumped on board either at that time or after they saw what we did. And it was just more inspiring to me to see that, other people were actually watching it. And that goes back to, like, maybe we haven't earned our stripes to have a TV show or whatever, but at the same time, we're making, I hope anyways, that we're making purposeful content to inspire other people to get out and either, change their lifestyle or go hunting again. Maybe they've never hunted, or they got away from it, with their dad, they quit doing it, and now they're getting back into it. So maybe we haven't earned our stripes to have a TV show in some people's eyes, but I don't care about that. I just want to make meaningful content for people to be inspired by.
Yeah. Like you said, there's a democracy out there that really, really rewards that kind of thinking, rewards that kind of, hey, I'm going to choose what, I always think about, choose your narrative. Like, what of all the things, social media is an arcade game. You put things out there to get points, and the more points you get, the more standing you get. And if you're the number one point getter, then you have the most entertaining content to the most amount of people. Well, that definitely can change the way you speak and what you do. As you well know, and I know, if I post a picture of a steak or a big buck, it's going to get more likes than if I post a picture of me and my kid fishing. But I choose my narrative. I choose what I want to say and what I want to do, and I choose it to be positive, and I do my best with it. It's not perfect, but it's the thing I want to say. And what's the best success? The success your own way. Rather than just falling in line with an algorithm and following lockstep with what the algorithm says is going to get you the most arcade points. So that's part of it. And I don't watch people working out online. When I see it, I just kind of skip over it. But I appreciate, like you said, that that's the narrative they choose to put out there, because no one would watch a guy sitting on the couch eating chips. Like, way less people would watch that. Maybe we start that. We got robes already.
Oh, I just filmed a hot pocket tutorial. You gonna watch it?
Yeah. Me and my robe. Maybe that's what we could start. I'd be down. I might actually watch that. I take it back, but like there isn't a dearth of popular hot pocket eating robe guys out there. Yeah. Maybe there might be after this conversation, but
maybe we start something.
There isn't, because it's not as powerful of a narrative as somebody who wants to work out and feel good, man. I mean, it just isn't, and it might be annoying if it gets overdone, but I'd rather that be the case than somebody choosing to choose their own narrative of hate or disillusion or disaffecting other people. That's way worse in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I tell my wife this all the time. Like, we had a family vlog channel for years, and then, you know, when Hushin really got up and going, I decided like I was done with the family vlog channel. I just wanted to concentrate on Hush, you know, full time, because that's what I was most passionate about. And but like even now, I watch, you know, YouTube videos and I see people vlogging, and they're like just, you know, millions of followers and millions of views, and they're doing really well. But it's just like, I tell my wife, if we were ever like in the place that we were broke and we needed money quick, like I think I could create a vlog channel that would do really well in it, but it would just be garbage. Yeah. Because for whatever reason, that's kind of how, like, there used to be this vlogging like community on YouTube, you know, and there still is. There's still people doing amazing stuff, filming their lives, you know, growing up with their kids, going on vacation, showing the world, you know. And the reason I think vlogging became popular was because it showed a happy family. And unfortunately, there's a lot of kids out there in the world that don't have a happy family, right? Right. They come from broken homes, and, you know, whatever the case might be, I think the reason like my brother's channel took off and did well, and so many other family vlog channels did so well, is because it just showed positivity in a light of a family can be happy together. And there's still a lot of people out there doing that, but there's a lot of people that are just making garbage and doing really well.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you can follow a certain playbook. You could look a certain way. You could post a certain thing and follow a certain playbook. And if you have a few, you know, inalienable qualities going for it, if you're super handsome, if your family's really handsome, if you guys have a van, if you go camping a lot, if you do the right kind of selfies and post them at the right times, like that all works and becomes something valuable to a lot of people. But it also is kind of stuck in its own, it's in its own way. In terms of what it could be.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there, because they're great and they're super friendly, and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to Land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth.
Well, yeah, and it's just, you know, for me, my passion is, you know, I keep saying is like, hopefully, we live by three, like we call them pillars at Hush, right? So after I initially started Hush because I wanted to show people my hunting adventures, and I wanted to have fun hunting and being able to capture that and show it. And then once it became a business, and I brought Eric and Brian on, So I started really thinking about like, why do we do this? Like, what is the purpose of it? You know, every business, they say you should have a why. And so one night I just like was thinking about what was the most important thing to me, Eric, and Brian. And we all agreed, like, we live by these 3 pillars. We're hopefully inspiring people. We call it new hunter and fisherman acquisitions, like getting people involved in the outdoors again. And if that can come from so many different places, people that have never hunted, that have somehow stumbled across our content, started watching, got inspired, they wanted to do that. Or if it's somebody that hunted when they were young, gave up hunting for whatever reason, their dad passed away, their uncle that used to take them is no longer there, gets excited about it and gets out there again. I think that's important for, the community, or for the hunting industry, is to get more people involved, and that also always starts with the kids, right? So it's new hunter fisherman acquisition, it's the first pillar, and then conservation and land access is the second pillar, and then just giving back, if it's locally to a group or to an individual that might need some help. Those are the 3 things that we always try to do. And because I say, like, if we are doing those 3 things, like if we're hitting those 3 points, we'll always be successful, because that's our why. That's why we are doing this, right?
Right.
And so, the family vlog channel, I'm passionate about my family and my kids hanging out, but there was no why behind it. It was just a way to make some money, really. And it was to get me out of the still mill, and it allowed me to be with my family more. But then when Hush came along, like, then I was really, that was like what I gravitated towards, because I could see like how it could help so many other people, because it's helped, hunting and fishing has helped me so much in my life. I always say, we grew up as a pretty religious family, and it would always be that thing like, well, you shouldn't be out hunting on Sunday, you should be at church. And I'd always be like, man, I feel closer to God in the mountains than I do when I'm at church. The old saying, would you rather be at church thinking about hunting, or would you rather be in the mountains thinking about God? And that was kind of my thing now. But Hush has really been something that, like, we can really pour our passion into, because we are so passionate about those 3 things.
Yeah, I mean, you can, when you're able to say, like, to have the control over your life, to say, well, I'm passionate about this thing, I'm going to, like, put all my energy into that thing. And because it is my passion, there's a lot of people that don't get that opportunity, that don't get to say, I wish it for everyone. I wish what you just articulated there for everyone, to say, I am passionate about this, I want to pursue it, I'm going to build pillars around how I'm going to pursue it and how I'm going to act within it, because that's important. Like, I wish everybody could have what you just said in regards of like how hard it is, for how hard you guys work, because I know you work your asses off, and how many nights where you're just not sure if it's right or not, if you're not sure why there's hateful shit on the internet, or all those things. Like, what you have there is worth fighting for in a lot of ways. And everybody that's listening to this should think about, how could I get to exactly what you just articulated?
Yeah, I hope the same for so many. I hope the same for everybody, and I really do. And it's really changed my train of thought. I was always the guy that grew up, just knowing that I was going to hopefully get a good job and work hard at it, and you had to have a 9-to-5 job, and that's just how life was. And then really it was funny, like when my brother started doing it, I hate to admit it, but like I was at the steel mill and I was doing well. It's a great job. It's just really tough work with, you're working 60 hours a week, you're rotating shifts. So 1 week you're 4 days in a row, you're working, 6 in the morning till 6 at night, and then you have 4 days off. And then the next 4 days you come in, you're working 6 at night till 6 in the morning. So it's tough on your body. But that was just what I knew. That's what I grew up like believing in. And then my brother owned a granite business at the time when he started doing YouTube, and he had a young family, had a wife and 2 kids at the time, and started dabbling with YouTube. And when he started doing YouTube, he didn't even know you can make money out. So he just started uploading videos, fun videos that he liked to make, and then after like 6 or 7 months, he got a check in the mail, and can't remember exactly how he explained it, but it was basically, first check I got from YouTube was enough to pay like our water bill. And then the next check was enough to pay all of our utilities. And then the check after that like was to pay the car payment or whatever it was. So he just was like, oh, this is doing well. And then at one point it overtook his wage he was making from the granite business. And so he was like, well, screw it. I'm going to quit doing granite because I'm not passionate about that. I'm passionate about making funny videos with my kids. And I remember my mom was just like, Shay, you got to have a job. You can't quit your job. You built this business. You can't do that. Like, you can't. And then he was talking about moving to LA to start this production company with his YouTube buddies. And I remember thinking, like, dude, Shay, like, bro, like, we're adults, we're dads, we have kids. Like, you got to be responsible. This isn't very responsible thinking, you know. I remember having this discussion with him, and he's like, well, what if it doesn't work? Like, I can always come back and get another job. I can always start this thing again. Like, I'm going to give it a chance because I enjoy doing it. Anyway, so like through all this whole process, it's really showed me that like all those things we grew up with, like knowing that you have to go to school, and I'm not saying going to college isn't important, but like you have to go to school and you have to get a good job and you have to just do these things because that's just how it is. That's just how your dad did it and how your grandpa did it, and that's just how it is. Well, nowadays, like I'm trying to tell my kids the opposite. Like all these cliches in life, and this comes from my brother Shay because he instilled these in me and he used to always talk about these, but like all the cliches in life or all the secrets in life are hidden behind the cliches, right? Like same with YouTube. YouTube's no different than any other job. Like you have to work hard at it. You have to like give it your all. You can't ever give up. People start channels all the time and like, what's the secret? Like what? I'm like, don't give up. It's just like anything else in life. Like if you're going to be successful, you're going to have to work really hard and never give up. And you've heard those phrases all your life, but they're true. They really are. And so now we're in we're literally, Ben, you're in a robe in your nursery. I am,
yep.
In a shop. I call it an office, but it's more of a man cave. That was a way that I could allow my wife would allow me to build this. It was an office, right? But we're sitting here, we're working. When everyone else is in a little bit of turmoil, you know, people have been sent home from jobs, like, we're working right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, we would wish that for everybody. You know, I wish that for absolutely everyone that's listening to this, that they can find some way to get, maybe they don't want a YouTube channel, but maybe they want some other thing that gives them the freedom to choose, you know, their work, what it is. And what you just said is enlightening to me from just a structure standpoint. Like how do you structure your life? Well, you live by the same principles of hard work and dedication. You just you're not a cog in the wheel. You are the wheel. You know, you decide when it goes forward. You know, you decide how fast it can go. You know, I've had tough times with this podcast where I thought I've stuck my foot in my mouth or just went through like a month where I just didn't feel like I had any entertaining shows and maybe there wasn't anything left to talk about, or maybe I wasn't up to the task of being engaging and finding ways to communicate. I've had that, and then I just busted through those, and I'm just going to keep busting through them because they'll come again. And I think this quarantine cast was just another one of those things where I was like, man, what am I going to do? I better just do something and keep doing it until they tell me to stop. And so that's what you guys are doing. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're just right now, man, I wish we could be out. This is a big reason as well. Like sometimes you get in those funks, I call them, you know, where you're not sure if, even though we're doing those three things we talk about, those three pillars, maybe this content we're putting out is not like inspiring or motivational or anything. But, you know, we just uploaded 4 of the Steelhead videos we just filmed a couple weeks ago. And, you know, just like what I've taken away is people are just like, hey, thanks for the content right now. Like we really needed this, like just to sit down as a family and watch you guys out fishing. Like the world's in a crazy place, but like, thank you guys for putting out this content. And when you get messages like that, then like you said, like sometimes you get in a rut or a funk, but usually it only takes a couple comments and you're like, yes, what we're doing is good. It's inspiring people. Like, let's just keep doing it. So I wish there was a way we could just be out creating all the content in the world for people to hopefully take their minds off what's going on and just, spending time with their family in front of the TV, watching hopefully meaningful content to them. Is kind of what it's all about, right?
Yeah, and if I know you guys, you'll get in the lab and you'll use this time to like plan the most kick-ass fall that ever existed and come up with new ideas and push that stuff and figure out ways to move the needle, because that's all there is at this point. It's like I said earlier, I mean, we have this great void of unknown right now, and you could fill it with whatever you want. You could fill it with positivity and hard work, or depression and a bag of chips on the couch, which I do like chips. No offense to chips out there.
Yeah,
like a nice kettle chip. But yeah, I mean, that's you can just choose. You choose whatever you want.
No, I agree 100%. I agree. You can either, there's definitely two different ways you can approach this. We're all in a world of doom, and this thing's going to be terrible, and it's going to take out, X amount of people, and the economy is going to be suffering, which all that stuff might be true, but you can either think in a negative way or a positive way. And I've always found that I do better when I try to think in a positive way, because we can't control any of this. That's what I keep telling my boys when they want to go out and play. I'm just like, I'm sorry, guys, but and they get a little upset and don't understand. I'm like, guys, this is out of our control. This is out of mom and dad's hands. This is out of everyone's control. We're just doing what we're doing to hopefully make it better. So you can either be positive about the outcome, or you can be negative. But why be negative when positive costs the same amount?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of things. Did you, as you talk to your kids, did you think through this? Let's say, because I've been thinking about this, a lot. Let's say this goes on for 2 more months. Let's say it's, now it's getting into June, it's summertime, and we've been in this situation for 3 months. It's kind of become the new normal. What's the message then? Have you thought about that?
I've thought a lot about that, and I don't know how I'm going to approach that, because it's been 7-8 days and everyone's going a little stir crazy and cabin fever. But like we keep saying, we're trying to do what's right and what we've been told is right. But yeah, you get into the months of June, and going back, so the way the school system is set up right now is this week was their designated spring break, so they were going to have this week off. So they had last week off, and then this is their spring break. And then I guess the board is going to meet again, I believe on April 2nd or 3rd to see what's going to happen. But what I've been hearing is it's very possible that the school year is just going to be over, right? So they'll just either do online courses after this 3rd, or they'll just call it, or they'll go back, one of the 3 ways. But yeah, so if this happens for another 2 months, and then we get into summertime and the kids are supposed to be out playing with their friends and doing these things, how do you approach that? How do you deal with your kids being in the house for 3-4 months?
Yeah. I don't know. Have them watch David Goggins swing a tree around in his backyard.
Hey, that's what we should do, is we swing more trees around.
More trees around. Yeah, I don't know. I've gone through a lot of scenarios in my head, and like I said, we were talking earlier in a meeting out with a bunch of our crew over here at Meat Eater, and I was just like, I don't know what the future holds, but I certainly do know that there's certain things that are just going to be true, and one of them is that we will be able to go hunt. They're not. There's almost 0% chance that's shut down completely. It'll be maybe restricted and a little bit different for us. We certainly can go and do that, and it'll be encouraged in our society to go outside with your family and do whatever it is you do outside. So I know that will probably be intact. And then at the same time, stories, we can read stories, tell stories, watch stories. Stories will be things we did, and then we can go create more stories for other people to be entertained by. So that's what I'm going to do. But boy, I don't know what 2 months from now is going to look like. I hope we're back to it, and you guys are thinking about what's the fall going to be, and what tags did we draw, and what exactly is, how long is this road trip going to be? Who's going to come on this? Did you guys your fall last year was great.
Yeah, it was. We hunted, like I said, we had 85 days in a row of just hunting content, between the 3 of us. So we weren't all 3 together on all those hunts, but between the 3 of us, we hunted probably 6-7 different states, 3 or 4 different species, and I had an amazing time. But like I said, we can't control this, and so whatever we have the opportunity to do this fall is what we're going to probably do, and things might be a little different, but it's out of our hands, and we just got to be able to control what we can control. And so,
yep. Well,
who knows?
Man.
I wake up every morning thinking either that it's going to be okay, this is it's going away slowly, we're good, or I just read this morning when I woke up on Twitter or something that this week is going to be even crazier than last week, which is hard to fathom. But I wake up going, okay, what's going to happen? It's either going to be A, things are looking better, or B, things are looking even worse. And so,
yeah. Like I said, there's nothing nothing to do but wake up and watch some of that stuff. So we got to end this on a positive note, Case. We gotta bring it up for people. So what I want to go. There's a couple of things. I've been watching this documentary on Netflix called Tiger King. Have you seen anything about this?
What's her phrase? Hello, cool kittens and cats.
Oh, hello, cool kittens and cats. Oh my God, man!
I binge watched it late last night. I'm not through it. I'm in I'm on episode 4, and it is the weirdest, most bizarre thing I can think of.
I think I blacked out. I wasn't drinking or doing any drugs. I think I just blacked out from just my brain was like, shut it down. It's too much. It's too much input here. Tiger King is going too hard at your brain, Carol. So here's what we're gonna do, and maybe you can come back for this too on Friday. Friday, we're gonna do a full podcast devoted to Tiger King.
Oh, please let me be a part of that.
I might have to just bring people in by the dozens for this because it's everybody that watches it just wants to talk about it, and
have you seen the whole thing?
I've watched all but the last episode.
Oh my goodness!
But stuff keeps happening. I feel like I want to watch it all again to pick up all the little details that are going on.
And there's one season, right? Or is there more?
No, there's just one season.
Okay. Yeah, so, I think I have 2.5 more episodes to watch.
Do you want to try to describe to people what this is we're talking about?
It's a documentary about, honestly, it's about, the phrase crazy cat lady times 10. So it tells the story of 3 different big cat owners, and 2 of them are big cat owners because they love cats, but they're also trying to make money off of it. This is my take on the whole thing. They're trying to monetize big cats to make some money. And then there's this other lady that's exactly what she's trying to do as well, but she comes across as trying to save the cats. And then there's murder involved, and then there's cult situations going on, and there's polygamy.
Some of the best music, homosexual polygamy.
I was going to ask you that. Is there anywhere to find his music videos?
Yes, I've found all of them. I've actually phoned. I've got a hold of. I won't even go much further, but I've been doing a lot of digging, a lot of journalistic investigation. I'm trying to find this guy who's by the name of Joe Exotic. I know where he is. He's in a prison. So I'm gonna.
You found him.
I think I can get. I'm not gonna promise anything, but I know how. If I were to get him, I know how it would happen. That's as far as I've got. But this is a guy, Joe Exotic, who's kind of like if a Liberace met. I can't even. Dog the Bounty Hunter and. I can't. My brain wants to shut off when I think about it.
I think he explained himself very well. I can't remember how it went, but he said, "I'm a gay, gun-toting redneck with a mullet."
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, if Dog the Bounty Hunter, Liberace, and Jack London had a baby,
oh my gosh,
I just don't know. I mean, his personality, the other personality. There's a Big Cat Rescue is a cat rescue operation run by this lady named Carol. She's an amazing character. There's murder involved. There's murder for hire involved. There is accidental death involved. There is meth. It is a cacophony of just.
My goodness.
It just attacks your mind. Like you can't imagine that this would happen, and then the next thing happens, and you can't imagine that either. It is just Tiger King is unbelievable. I'll have to find the exact.
Highly recommended.
If you Google Tiger King, you can get it. But
you know how I was saying earlier in the podcast, nothing, at this point, nothing can really surprise me. That might be the first thing that has surprised me in the last 7 to 8 days.
It's called Tiger King. Yeah, it's called Tiger King: Murder and Mayhem. Holy crap!
Do you think it's possible to use Joe's song "Here Kitty Kitty" as the outro music to this podcast?
I think it's possible, and in fact, it's going to happen now.
I have to see that full length video.
It is just it. Yeah, I can't. It's hard to describe. So hopefully, if you haven't watched it, I mentioned this on social media last night, and my Instagram DMs blew up. Like I had hundreds of people like, "Whoa!"
Are a lot of people watching it?
A lot of people are watching it. It's the perfect thing for this time.
Yes,
it is built for quarantine time. So it's the perfect, all the things we were just talking about, kind of reflecting on our own lives and careers and our own states of mind in this time. This is the perfect anecdote to all of that stuff. You won't know what to do, and if you watch it and don't feel better about your own life, I don't know what to do with you.
I'm sorry.
It's that out of control. So we're gonna Friday. It's Tuesday, so Friday we're gonna have a full podcast. It's gonna be a happy hour podcast where we are drinking and we are talking about we're just gonna do the whole thing for an hour. Who knows how long it's gonna last? Probably hours.
It will last for hours.
So if you're listening to this and you don't have Netflix, first go sign up for it, and then you go watch all the seasons of Meat Eater, and then when you're done, watch Tiger King. Or if you promise that you'll watch Meat Eater, I'll allow you to watch Tiger King first, and then go to Meat Eater. But it's just, it'll change everything you think about the world, especially about cats and their ownership in this great country.
Oh, I'm going to save it because I have so much to talk about with this.
I know. So hopefully we get you back for that. There's going to be, I've messaged a few people. I said, just people I think that are perfectly suited to join this conversation. I said, just bring your own booze, and we're going to do a happy hour. Yeah. And we're just going to let it all out. I'm going to let it all hang.
Let it all hang.
So that'll be a quarantine cast for you coming up on Friday. So
I look forward to that.
Stick and stay for that one. But that's, if you're looking for an anecdote to all the things like I just said that we've been talking about today, the best thing to do is to Google Tiger King, watch the trailer, and then go. You got I think it's 6 or 7 episodes of 45 minutes each. So yeah, man, here we are. This is what you need to do. Spend that time. You have 3 days from now to go and watch all those episodes before we just let it all out on Friday.
Yeah, and if you're at home quarantined, like, it's one of those documentaries. There's been a few that I've come across that I had to, like, I couldn't stop watching.
Yeah. Yeah, the last one with that was this good was Firefest. The Firefest documentaries. This one kind of has that flavor. So normally here at THC we talk about books. We're going to launch a book club soon. Pretty much every guest has a book here nowadays, but in the days of the quarantine cast, it's Netflix, baby, and I'm very proud of it.
I agree.
So, all right, man. Well, be well. I guess I'd say stay safe, but you're going to be fine where you are. And whenever we break out of this, we should plan some stuff for this fall. I
agree. I think just one last little thing for me, I think an important thing for everybody at this point is, and we kind of talked about this the other night when we were texting back and forth, is don't use this situation as a time to be upset or depressed about whatever is out of your hands, but just enjoy the things that you have. And that's what I've kind of noticed is just like, I have a beautiful family. I have 4 beautiful, healthy kids, and I have a very sporting wife. And I have the ability to stay home and just enjoy their company for however much more time we're going to be quarantined. And I'd suggest that for everyone.
Yeah, no, we were texting about this, and we were both saying the exact same thing. I'm hanging with my kids, I'm cooking, I'm feeling lucky. I feel lucky to be where I am. And I understand that there's so many people out there that don't feel lucky, that feel stepped on and feel lost because of this. And, I feel, part of me feels that, but, I got to look around and know that I'm lucky, and hopefully I can impart some of that to other people at this time. So I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you coming on and kind of talking through some of the, telling your own story. Because I've always thought since I've known you that your story from steel mill to doing what you're doing today is just miraculous. And you've always put yourself out there as like a good dude, like one of when I remember when we were hunting together for the first time, I'm like, this is my people right here. This is a dude. Like, if I was gonna pick a crew, I would pick with this guy.
Well, I appreciate that, Ben. I feel the same towards you. It's always just been, since day one of hunting in, was it Colorado? It's just like you felt like my buddy.
Yeah, just buddies, man. And so there's certain, and your story beyond that is something that, as you guys always have said, and have you said, like, you're just normal guys that are passionate about hunting, and look what you did. So
thank you.
Yeah, proud of you for doing that, and thanks for coming on and letting people know about it.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Ben. It was fun.
All right, brother. See ya.
Hey, man. Let's talk soon.
Bye. That's it. That is all. I'm still in my robe, and it is 4:11 p.m. Philip.
Okay, I just want to ask you if you've cracked open a beverage yet.
I have not, but I am sweating in my under regions. My lower regions are sweating.
I would just like to ask that if you do, I mean, I'm sure you will, but if you do decide to do a little drinking tonight, that you keep the robe on.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's like I said, it's 4:11. I've had it on since I woke up. I can't go put regular clothes on now. There's no way. So I might just go sit in the backyard, drink White Claw in my robe.
I mean, that sounds incredible.
It really, I mean, I don't want to say that everybody should wear a robe, but if you're not wearing a robe, we're not friends anymore. I'm now a robe guy. I'm going to have to get different carpet. I'll probably have to trade my truck in for some sort of like wagon of some sort. Station wagon. I got to change a lot of things, but I'm going to stick with this robe. It's comfortable, like a bear out of hibernation.
That sounds great. Are we going to get some THC branded robes?
Oh shit, that's a great idea.
Okay.
I don't know if the business people at Meat Eater would go for it, but it's certainly worth pitching. So please write in to thc@meateater.com and then tell us how much you'd want a robe if we came out with them. Because they would probably have like gold lettering, as Casey Butler was saying. He has a robe with like gold and stitched lettering. We'd probably have to do that. At the very least, I'm going to get you one, Phil.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. I'll drink a White Claw in the backyard.
I mean, it's so hot in my nursery studio that I had to open the window. It's just the heat in here from so much podcasting and in a hot robe. So anyway,
legs spread as wide as they can.
I mean, just airing it out, it out. That's how we're number 7 of the quarantine cast. It's only going to go downhill or uphill from here, depending on how you look at it. So just hang on with us. You're gonna stay with us, Phil. Please stay with me. I'm lonely.
I will. The only thing keeping us apart is this microphone in front of me and a solid internet connection.
That's right. All right. Well, we'll be back tomorrow. And Phil, we're gonna start something tomorrow that we said we were gonna do before. Can you explain in the Marvel, what is it? The Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Look at that. You did it.
Did I do it? All right.
Yep.
They had a thing that they did that was called post-credit scenes.
They're post-credit sequences, post-credit scenes, yes.
And they were like...
where they would tease future movies.
They were like breadcrumbs kind of things.
That's right.
So look for those. We're going to start putting those into THC because I think it's funny. And it's just an extra 2 minutes of talking for all you guys out there. Yeah. So Phil, I'm leaving it up to you to craft the post-credit sequences for THC.
Okay.
All right?
Sounds great.
Okay, bye, buddy.
Bye.
The Hunting Collective with Ben O'Brien is a part of the Meat Eater Podcast Network. It is produced by Corinne Schneider and engineered by Phil Taylor. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, themeateater.com, or anywhere podcasts are downloadable. Wherever you listen, leave a 5-star review and subscribe.
Cool, man. What should our first post-credit sequence be?
I don't know. What are you having for dinner tonight?
I'm not sure, but do you think that maybe the first post-credit sequence could be this one, where we're talking about what the post-credit sequence could be in the future, kind of like Inception?
You were reading my mind.
Wow. But yes, this is our first post-credit sequence where we're talking about what they will be in the future, and that's really it.
You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins.